My name is Jim Adjemi. On behalf of myself and Kim Adjemi, I want to welcome you. Really excited. This is our fourth installment of our Knowledge is Power series, and this we've titled W.I.R.E, Women in Real Estate. And let me tell you, the gender aside, these ladies are awesome. So, what I really want to happen today is really that everybody has some great takeaways. Not only knowledge, but, I think some inspiration. I mean, all these ladies in different ways, what they've accomplished, absolutely inspire me. Obviously, especially my wife, who really sets a high bar, so I can never slack. Woo! It's rough. It's good and rough. But, so a few of the ground rules before I introduce our absolute esteemed panel. I want to thank all these incredible ladies for being here and sharing not only their talents but their time today. So a little hand, please, for our panel. Also, quick introductions. We obviously had. I think building a business involves great partnerships, be it with other agents, other companies. So I wanted to give a shout out to Fidelity Title, a great partner of ours. Kathy. First Security Mortgage, Tracy. And Weatherstone, Joel. Now, Weatherstone has been nice enough. They are doing a giveaway of a $250 credit for a home inspection. They do a fantastic, fabulous job. If you want to be part of it, just drop your business card in this fishbowl, and he'll pick it at the end. But all great partners, really are a big part of our business. So I want to thank you guys for being here, and thank you for the excellent breakfast also. So today, I want to make this interactive, guys. It's not going to be a wait for Q&A. So after I introduce the panel and give you a little bit about their background, which, again, every story is incredible, I'm going to ask them a series of questions. But at any point in time, please put up your hand, ask the panel questions directly. Again, we want this to be interactive. We don't want you guys having any questions at the end, right? We want you guys to get a lot out of this because we appreciate your time. So, yeah, absolutely. So, without further ado, I'm going to just introduce each panel member. Colleen Levitt. Now, me and Kim were lucky enough to work with her at a different brokerage at a different time, but she was awesome then and even more awesome now. She started selling real estate in 2016 after stepping back from a CFO position with a company that she started with her husband in 1994. This is awesome. The company went international in 2015, and she was able to step away during the restructuring and follow her passion. She started living, and I love this, she started living a life by design rather than default, which is awesome on her terms. She loves certain aspects of her previous career, building client relationships, negotiating deals, and growing a successful team, but the day-to-day accounting part of the job, I empathize with that. Part of the job was dull and uninspiring. Kim yells at me all the time for our accounting. Real estate was always something she was interested in, and getting licensed allowed her to utilize the skills she had built in her previous business to start a team, build a business with one of her favorite people, another person I'm very fortunate to know, her twin sister, Maureen. She now currently has a team with 3 agents and 2 staff in Royal Oak, and Maureen launched, which this is really cool, I want to go visit her, launched an expansion team for them in Honolulu, Hawaii, over a year ago. So you guys are all invited. Come on. Growth is on the agenda, and they have another expansion team planned for Midtown office later this year, which is awesome. Colleen Levitt. Stacy Taylor. She's been licensed 20 years, but she used it in relation to her construction company that she was co-owner of, which is really interesting. After her divorce in 2014, she tried to give it a try, as she calls it, as a career. She began selling in 2015, which is amazing. She's only been in the business that long. In 2016, at the urging of her old broker, she signed up for Ninja Selling Course, and it really was a game changer for her. She's increased her sales year after year, with her best year being 2021. She's an individual practitioner, mind you. Okay, she closed 110 transactions for 33,800,000 GCI. Damn. She's been a guest on Inside Real Estate Podcast 3 times, a panelist for Lab Coat Agents Michigan event, and she's most excited about having been featured on an HD TV show in 2019, which was a lot of fun. I'm sure it was. In her spare time, how could she have any spare time selling that much real estate? She enjoys traveling to tropical locations, spending time around the pool with family, and of course spending time with my English Bulldog, Bella, and my 2 grandpups. I enjoy volunteering, particularly at the homeless shelter, which I think she sold them, shelter in Pontiac, as well as Habitat for Humanity. Stacy Taylor. Jessica Bellinger. She's a realtor with RE/MAX in Sterling Heights. She's got lots of rewards and awards, including RE/MAX's Hall of Fame, Platinum Club, and Our Media's Real Estate All-Stars. She started her career journey in 2007 as an office manager with a boutique brokerage. After several years spent learning the ins and outs of the industry, she attained her real estate license in 2012. I think she probably learned pretty good. In 2015, she transferred her license to RE/MAX in an effort to maximize her success while transitioning to full-time sales. She's increased her production year over year with as much as a 116% increase in a single year. She currently produces 16 times the volume she did when she first joined RE/MAX 7 years ago. That's awesome. In addition to selling homes, she's actively involved with several charities, including Give Kids the World, Make-A-Wish, and most notably Children's Miracle Network. When she isn't spending time with clients or fundraising, she enjoys spending time with her husband, Brian, and 2 adult sons, Malachi and Micah. Traveling and embracing her role as crazy cat mom, her words, not mine, to her 2 cats. Is it Peeves?
Peeves.
Peeves.
Like my pet Peeves.
Okay. A black rescue, and Rekka, her purebred Blue Point Siamese. She's just recently, I don't know if she gets all this time from, she just recently got her broker's license, and she is currently pursuing RE/MAX's Lifetime Achievement designation. Wow. Last but not least, I can't mess this one up. We drove separately, but the door could be locked. The door could be locked. So my wife and partner, Kim Ashby, she started her career in new construction around 25 years ago. She was an award-winning salesperson selling out multiple neighborhood communities. She worked for Pulte Homes. She even stepped into a sales manager position for one of the local builders. In 2002, she obtained her broker license, and in 2003 opened up her own boutique brokerage. And when we had to relocate to the east side of Metro Detroit, and she worked diligently to build her business. In 2020, she was ready to take the business to the next level, and with a push from her husband, Jim, they opened an EXP branch office in Shelby Township. Kim is the managing broker. She feels it was the absolute best business decision she ever made. Being with a global cloud-based brokerage has allowed them to expand into 5 states and 2 countries. We have reached icon status, which puts us in the top 6% of the over 80,000 agents in our company. We have been featured on the cover of Broker Advisor, a national publication, been featured as speaker in multiple venues and guest on multiple podcasts. She enjoys sharing her knowledge to help others. Our EXP family has quickly grown to over 80 partners and growing every week. We even started our own team in January that we are looking to grow. It isn't about the number of people, it's about helping more people by helping more agents succeed. Kim Ashby. Okay, guys, here's the panel part. Again, let's make it fun and interactive. And, again, this is going to be some great stuff. So I give you a little background on them. The first question I initially was going to roll out was basically how they get into real estate, but really kind of think about why you got into real estate. What's your why? I know you explained a little bit. Everybody talk a little bit about your why. But
talk about your why. Let's start small. For me, I had spent the better part of my adult life helping my husband start a business, helping my kids raise my kids up and get into positions they could get in to succeed. Always kind of helping everybody else out, being that mentor to everybody else to help them go. I loved helping my husband build our business. was never my passion. So when we went international and I had the chance to step back as CFO and go, what do I want to do with my life? I took a year off. I golfed a lot. I hung out with my twin sister a lot. She'd been trying to pull me into real estate forever and ever, and I was always like, no, my dad was a broker. I watched him struggle through the 70s and 80s. I'm going to date myself here. I know y'all thought I was only 30, but swore I'd never get into real estate. But she pulled me over to the dark side, got me into, she was working for a broker, or for a builder that was opening a boutique brokerage. So just give it a try. See if you like it. And it turned out that it worked with all of the skills that I'd built up doing different things. And my big why, honestly, is me. And I know that sounds like super selfish and horrible, but my whole life has been about helping other people get to their point of destination. I wanted to find out what mine was, where I was going, what I wanted to do, where I could take myself based on the skills that I'd learned. In every job I ever had, from restaurants. Restaurants are a great training ground to be in this industry. I love taking people and bringing them into this industry from restaurants, bars. They have a customer service heart. But everything that I ever did as far as client negotiations, building a team, working, learning the financial end of the business begrudgingly, that came my big part of my business, which wasn't where I wanted to go. So living by design rather than default was like my trajectory, my true north point that I tried to stay focused on. So how about you, ma'am?
Well, I don't have nearly anything that exciting to say. So my why initially, was definitely my children. As in my bio, as we said, I went through a major life change in 2014. Went through a divorce. I had to step away from the business that I had grown from the ground up with my ex-husband. And I didn't know what else to do. I had planned to go to law school, didn't do that because we started a construction company that grew pretty rapidly. And I thought, well, I've got this real estate license, let me just give it a try. I'm gonna give it a year. And, so I was still doing some book work on the side for a couple other construction companies. And at the same time, my daughter was accepted to an Ivy League university. And I'm like, and it was all on me. There was, for other reasons, just no help was coming anywhere else. So I thought, I have to give this one good shot, so I did. And, my broker at the time at Coldwell Banker had recommended I take a class that he really thought would benefit me personally as well as professionally. And it did, and I'll probably get into that a little more with some of the other questions, but it really resonated with me. And, I just started growing from there. So my why initially was definitely my family, but I would say it transitioned to kind of what you said, it was for me too. I have grown so much and healed, and I'm able to give back now, which it's just invaluable to me. And, most of my clients end up close friends. I've been to weddings, baby showers, housewarmings, and I just couldn't imagine doing anything else. I really couldn't. All right.
I didn't want to get into real estate. I really don't know how I'm here, actually, other than like other people drove it. So I started working, my background is pre-law and accounting. And I worked as a corporate purchaser for years prior to real estate, and I have a handicapped adult son, so anybody who's on my Facebook knows that. And we lived in northern Michigan, and at a certain point we were driving back and forth to Royal Oak, Beaumont about once a week, once every 2 weeks, and finally his doctor said, like, this is life, so you might want to consider like getting down here. I had a purchasing job lined up, and when I got into town, they realized they didn't need the help. And I was kind of SOL, really. So I went to the unemployment office, because what was I going to do? And sitting next to me was somebody who was way chattier than I am. And she was like, what do you do? What do you want to do? Where are you going? And I'm like, I don't even want to be here. Like, don't talk to me. And so she was like, my sister-in-law and brother are opening a real estate firm, and they really could use a bookkeeper. And it was not good pay and not really what I wanted to do. And I don't know if all of you were around at this time, but like foreshadowing, 2007 was not a good year to get into a real estate business with someone. So I took the job, and 2008 happened, and somebody was let go, and somebody was let go, and somebody was let go until I was the last man standing. And I stayed with them for 7 years. And when the market started to pick up, they made part of my job requirement a real estate license because I couldn't answer certain questions and I couldn't open doors. And so that's how I got my real estate license in 2012. I really didn't start selling full-time till 2014, but in 2013, what happened was one of my husband's friends, knowing that I've been working for a real estate office for 7 years, called and said he wanted to buy a house. And I tried to refer him to a new agent, and she wasn't interested in taking it because of the price point. And I told my broker, what do I do with him? And she's like, I don't know, why don't you sell him a house? And I was like, I am not a real estate agent. And she was like, there's a license on the wall that says otherwise. You should probably go open some doors. So I sold him a house and I kind of never looked back. I really liked the piece. Again, if you're part of my social media, you'll know that I don't fit the part. I'm covered in tattoos, and fuck is like my favorite word, right? So I really didn't think this was the industry for me. I really just didn't. It's literally on my wall at home in 2 different places. That's how much I love that word. And so I was like, I can't be a professional. And for the record, all these years later, I can't still. But my why became I wanted to see the world, and I wasn't from a family that was a possibility. Both of my parents retired in debt. And it's just, they're living, they're surviving, but they're not thriving. And over the years, that has pushed me further. So, I wanted to see Australia, and I did. And I want to go to Italy, and I am. And I wanted to do Paris and the Maldives, and I've done all those. And I guess the other thing is, with an adult handicapped son, I want to make sure that when I'm not around, he's still taken care of, and he is. So that's my why.
That's awesome.
I just love all these ladies, and part of the reason why they're up here is because I love each and every one of them and what they do, and they inspire me, and I follow them, and I know that's your favorite word, and I love that about you, right? I just bleep out how many videos I take, and I'm like, delete, what was I about? But anyway, my why, I didn't actually wake up one day and say I was going to do real estate. Honestly, I didn't. When I had finished college, I had a business management degree. I met Jim at that time. We were moving to Michigan, and so I had to apply for a job, and his sister worked for Pulte Homes. So I applied for the job, got the job. So when I started working there, I did, start to fall in love with real estate. The fact that I was helping people build their dream home was pretty cool. So I worked for a few different builders, but I had kind of built out an entire neighborhood where I literally knew everybody in that neighborhood. And I was helping them. I got to know their families and their aunts and their grandpas and their dogs and whatever, because you're building a home with them over 8 months. So that's where I found it. They taught me sales skills. And that's where I loved really helping people. When I started having my own family, the only thing about new construction is you're on their schedule no matter if you have a client or not. So during that time, some wise advice, my sister-in-law told me, get your real estate license, get your broker license. So I got my broker license. We were moving, Cody, who's our oldest, is technically my stepson, but he was 1 when we got married, so I don't count that. But we were moving closer to him, and he was 8 at that time, and we were driving back and forth and having our 3rd kid. So that's when I opened the own brokerage. And I like the flexibility. I have 2 kids playing college sports right now. So my kids, we were traveling. We were going to Chicago, and baseball and football and volleyball. So I wanted the flexibility. And it's interesting, I just had a conversation with one person that an experienced agent told her, don't do it, you won't have a life. And I'm like, well, I made my real estate career happen around my family. And my family always came first. I was room mom, I was there at my games. Yeah, I might be in Chicago at a volleyball tournament and I'm signing a contract, right? But that's the beauty of the real estate. So I love the fact that I could help other people. What I didn't really know until we've opened our own office is I've started helping agents and helping them with what I knew, because I had my own office. To be honest, I don't know why I didn't join a brokerage. I figured it out myself, and so I learned the hard way on a lot of things. There were a lot of things I didn't know. So now I enjoy helping agents know what I didn't know and nobody taught me. I'm shocked sometimes at agents that are in the business 3 and 5 years and the stuff that nobody told them. So I'm finding my passion now. Now my youngest is in college, so now the energy is, oh my God, I get to help other people succeed and learn from what I know in my experience and help them. So, my wise transition, it was for my family, raising my family, and now I'm having a lot of fun. It's like my new family and helping them succeed. And I get inspired every day by when they get another win, and I played any kind of role in that.
So obviously all these ladies are successful on high levels for different reasons. So let me just ask each of them just one core business philosophy that you feel is really important to how you've built and grown and your success.
You starting with me? Because I'm first. I picked the wrong seat. Dang it! No, for me, the absolute number one core thing in business, and I think for every one of you, should be building those relationships. For us, we don't view our clients as transactions. We don't judge things by transaction count. I look at how many relationships we've built and how many more relationships are going to come from that. I cannot tell you how incredibly, I'm sorry, should I speak up? Or sit up? The girls weren't up? Yeah. I like the F word too, and this is, I think she and I get along well. We have fun, guys. No, but building those relationships is absolutely 1,000% everything in this business. And going forward in this business, that is going to differentiate between who's going to make it in the next 5 years and who's not going to make it in the next 5 years. Tech is here, more tech is coming. People can dial faster, make those cold calls faster, do all those FSBO and expired calls faster than humanly possible. Building those relationships now and getting those referrals from that business because you've built a trusted advisor relationship with your clients is what's going to take you to the next level of your career. If you're not spending time building those relationships right now, you're going to be in a little trouble in a little while. Because it's coming, for sure. So relationship.
And I agree. I should have went first, so I could have said that first. Right. I know. Definitely, we have a little saying in our office, which actually kind of, our broker got his start with Quicken Loans, and a lot of those philosophies have moved over, but he believes it's every client, every time. Doesn't matter the price point. And I kind of expound on that a little more. I'm not transactional, like you said. I'm looking to build a client for life, not the life of the transaction. And, that's probably my best advice. Don't chase commissions. Just remember you are there to be a problem solver for your clients. I consider myself the least amount of a salesperson you could be. Like, you will never catch me cold calling or door knocking. Like, I would rather stick a needle in my eye. Build those relationships because that's the business that you want anyway. But just treat every client like a lifetime relationship. And remember that you represent their biggest financial investment, whether it's a $100,000 house, a $1 million house. Just don't lose sight of that. Don't get caught up in the dollars. Keep focusing on the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I do relationship marketing as well, so I don't want to beat the drum or beat the dead horse, I guess, over here. But just a core philosophy, I think, is treat others like you would want to be treated. If you don't want someone to act like you're a number, don't treat your clients like a number. I try really hard. The bigger my business has been, I would say the less often I can do it. But if there's something that I can do to go over and above, and I mean in headlights, painting VA required repairs at 10 o'clock at night in Grosse Pointe, should I be doing that? I don't know, probably not. I've heard people say that's not your job, but honestly, there's a quote from, oh gosh, I can't remember what the name of the book is. It's something Carry Water, but it says you'll find that when you get to the difficult road, there's not as much traffic, and it's because it's not as many people want to do that, right? But it usually leads to the best place, and that's probably, I slaughtered it. Whatever, find the book, read it. It's really good. But basically, just the difficult path is less traveled because there's not a lot of people willing to put in the effort, and so I will continue to go and scrape and paint paint or scrape and paint, and I will continue to bring soup to people when they're not feeling good. And during the pandemic, I did deliver toilet paper to everybody who didn't have it. And I and honestly, like, those are the things that, first of all, I love doing more than the transaction, but B, like, if I was in need and somebody saw it, like, those are the things that I would want somebody to do for me. And a lot of that's not business, but it brings business just from like not being a shitty person, I think. So, yeah.
And so now I get to go last.
What's that? Oh, there you go. That's it. She's got it right. It's a really good book. And I did slaughter the quote, but like the point is the same. Yep.
Well, now that I have the last seat, right, and you guys, but I think one thing you'll find consistent, and I think as women, I think we're relationship based anyway. But I think if you take care of the client and you put the client first, the money will come, like they said. And so I look to solve problems. On every transaction, there's 7 people involved. And they may be good, bad, horrible. You never know what you're going to get. So I always make sure that I don't assume everybody's doing their job, and I make sure that I'm going over things for my client to make sure my client's going to have a good experience, because that's really important to me. But the relationship part of what I love, I see you do all kinds of fun things for your client specifically, and I love that. I actually want to get better at that because she does do it so well. But it is the relationship, and then almost 90% of my business is referral based and past clients. So that's incredible, and you've got to find a way to keep in touch with them.
We're talking about relationships too, though. I think the equally important relationships to build, and this is why we're kind of all here today, is building the relationships with the other agents in your area. Because I know if Kim's got a deal, or Jess's got a deal, or Stacy's got a deal, and I can call them up and ask them questions, and you have that relationship, there's a shorthand and an ease with which, that conversation goes. When if she's got a house that I want, I have a buyer for in a multiple offer situation. I know they're rare these days, but every once in a while you get in a multiple offer situation, and let me tell you, knowing the person on the other side of that transaction is insanely huge. I can't tell you, Diana came and did our open house this past weekend at a listing in East Point, super busy open house. I got 12 offers on that property. 2 agents called me to let me know they even submitted an offer. So I can tell you which one of those 2 got the deal. She was an EXP agent. I'm gonna toot the EXP horn for that one.
Well, this is part of this event. What I think is truly unique in our industry is that agents are kind of like, well, I'm at this brokerage, or you're at that brokerage, or you're at that. I was in San Diego, and me and Colleen had multiple conversations, and I was out there and inspired. I stayed. It was an incredible mastermind. These are top people in the country. They're like $250 million in commission in this room. And there was added 200 people. I'm like, oh, should I be in this room? Right. But I stayed in a house full of women, and we were all talking about the business. And I literally messaged her, and I'm like, we're having breakfast when I get back. She's at KW. I'm at EXP. It has nothing to do with that. I respect her as an agent, as a person. And so what we started doing in these events, so many times people are like, oh, EXP, you're recruiting me, or whatever your thoughts are, they all do it. You know how many messages I get from every brokerage all the time, and emails? So we all do it. So it's a matter of relationships and being able to we were having great conversation about different things in the market, and we're all at 4 different brokerages. That's the point. When we put this panel together, that's the point. So having the relationships with agents in the industry, they know who you are. I was telling you that, right? When they know who you are and they know you're going to get the deal done, that makes all the difference.
So obviously there's some great commonalities to their success. There's always a roadmap, and and conducting business the way they do, they all have impeccable reputations and stuff. I can tell you.
My reputation's turned.
Doggone it. But I know we win a lot. Yeah. Oh, question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I was just going to drill down. So I think the question was what sets you apart, what differentiates you in its relationship. But I really want to kind of drill down. I know, respect, like, and have worked with everyone on the panel except for Stacy. like they don't know you yet. But with every single one of these women on the panel, when you call them, they answer. If you have a question, they answer it. Even if it's not part of your deal, if you need something, they're there. But communication, I think, is becoming a lost art in this industry on all sides, the mortgage side as well. But one thing I respect about all of them is, even though they're all extremely busy women, they take the time to answer questions. So can we talk a little bit about communication, and if you had to give a piece of advice maybe to newer agents, how would you help them with that?
I actually just had something like that happen. I had an appraiser call me the other day, and I answered the phone, and right away she said, "I can't believe you answered the phone," and didn't even say who she was. And so then she explained, and she wanted to ask me some questions about one of my listings. So it was closed, and she was preparing an appraisal for another property. So we talked for a couple minutes, and I said, "While I have you on the phone, can I ask you a couple questions?" And so I asked her some things that I really wanted to know from an appraiser's perspective about different things and the appraisal guarantees, just a few different things. And we had such a great conversation. And do I think that that's gonna influence if she ever happened to have something that she was appraising of mine? No, she won't remember that. But I had that conversation with her, and I learned from it as well. And I think, like you said, relationships are key. And newer agents, I would encourage you, never stop learning. If you are slow, call a mortgage company and, see if you can come in and ask questions. Go to form a relationship with a title company. Personally, I believe in being loyal to one title company for the most part and a couple core lenders. You don't have to do that, but I find for me it works. But they never mind to give you, information, advice, answer questions, and, use those opportunities to build relationships and also to grow.
I'm going to tap onto that or add on to that just a little bit. Have an advantage being a little bit older. I didn't grow up with social media. I was out, if I wanted to talk to my friends and family, this is where it's an unfair advantage to be my age. We actually had to pick up the phone and call people. We had to actually go see them in person. Social media was not a thing. Social media is a great way to maintain relationships and help build relationships. It's not a relationship, and I think a lot of the younger agents think it is. You got to get out and meet the people, meet the people, meet the people. That is the best advice I got at day one at Arterra from Linda Urban. Love her. Not here, but I love her. Meeting the people is key, and being in constant communication with people, getting out and interacting, get involved, do things. Meet people for real and form real relationships. Social media is great. Like I said, at maintaining them, it's not a relationship though. So.
Yeah, I think to tack onto that, first of all, I don't know how young she thinks any of us are, but we didn't grow up with social media either, just for the record, that wasn't a thing. But there's a huge point to that. So when I started, I said the other day, and I'll reiterate it, I'm covered in tattoos, I have a potty mouth. Nobody trusted me with their real estate, right? They didn't trust me with their kids or their glass of water. Nobody was gonna let me sell their house. And so I had to build a business, and I didn't have, 20% of what I make now, which is our marketing budget, to do that, right? So I had to figure out what I was going to do. And honestly, I really suck at networking with other professionals. I've just gotten into that in the past couple of years, realizing that real estate agent to real estate agent relationship is equally important. But in the community, I was good at that. I like to fundraise, and I could use other people's money to do it, right? But it still would give me the clout because I was organizing it. I took a position in my local zoning board. I sit on a city council now, which I've continued. I sit on my HOA board. I help to coordinate events. Obviously, this is a bigger budget thing, but I bought a golf cart, and I go to all the events in the golf cart and advertise myself. But I do that in person. I don't send an assistant. I don't send my husband. I don't send printed materials without my face on it. I go, I swear, I show my tattoos. I try to make people laugh, and some people I piss off, and you know what, whatever. But to everyone that I make mad, 5 are there, I drill into that, and I still do that, regardless of with how busy I am. And it makes a really big difference. If somebody that's a past client posts on social media that something's happening, I actually usually don't comment on that, but I send flowers, or I show up with soup, or I deliver toilet paper. And those little things like that take 30 seconds when I'm already in Roseville mean more to them than like the relationship is not. Social media is important, and you will get business off of it. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying that it's only, you have to also back it up. It's like putting a really nice picture of yourself on a dating profile and like showing up looking like Shrek, right? Like you can't, you're gonna get hits, but like it's not gonna close the deal, really. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so the only thing I would say is you're exactly right. You got to be your authentic self, and you're going to attract the people that you attract, and that's the people you want to work with anyway, right? So, and communication is key. When I have a listing, and sometimes it's obnoxious, but every call I get, I call it back, because I know when I'm on the other side, I want that call back. You as a new agent should 100% of the time be talking to the listing agent, because you should be finding out what's important to the seller. And if you're not representing your buyer in the best way possible. So it is sometimes through those conversations that I'm able to learn how I might be able to tweak my offer to make it the best offer, because it's not just about price, it's about terms too. And also making sure the deal closes.
Right? And sometimes, and I think a lot of newer agents miss this too, sometimes that list agent is authorized to talk about price. So when you're calling up, you're really getting an unfair advantage when you're asking them straight up, you know, my client's maxed out at $325, should we bother writing an offer? Sometimes it's just saying that much to, buyer fatigue's real, folks. If you haven't noticed, there's buyers that are just tired of writing offers and getting rejected. If you can save that pain to your buyers, that's huge. But if you are in a relationship or know the list agent, or just try to call the list agent and ask them straight up, you know, is your seller authorized you to talk about price? You know, if we come in here, is there a chance of us getting our offer accepted? What point should we make our offer to get our offer accepted? What's the seller looking for? I can't tell you the number of times making that phone call has gotten us across the finish line. I was just in a deal in Novi. There was 12 offers on the table, made the phone call, and the list agent's like, you're the only one that's called. This is what my seller wants. This is, if you can write this offer, you can have the house. I'm like, sold. Yeah.
I had a closing on Monday, and let me tell you, the listing agent, we'll get your question, the listing agent, you know, it varies who the listing agent is and if they know what they're doing or they don't know what they're doing. I closed an offer on Monday. My client got a condo. It was honestly underpriced, and we gave an offer that wasn't above asking, and we closed on Monday. So that conversation with that agent, I could tell she was new. I gave her exactly what she listed it for. I gave her the terms. It went live that day. We had the offer in her hand a few hours later, and she took it, and we were done. We didn't even go above asking. And so in this market, so that phone call made a difference for me to best advise. I didn't need to tell my client, do an appraisal guarantee, go over and that, because I read the situation.
What do you do in a situation where listing agents do not answer their phones?
Well, sometimes they don't. I mean, sometimes, yeah.
But then if you really want to put an offer in, like I actually had to search for the person, search for their cell phone. They don't have their cell phone advertised.
Yep.
It's only the office.
Yep.
I had to find them on Facebook to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
But it's ridiculous. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you go around?
If I can't get a hold of the list agent, I can't get a hold of the list agent. But I'm going to try. I'm going to look at their social media like you just did. That's a great way to do it. I'll call their broker and ask for a direct number. Direct line to the broker is my first mode of operation. If I can't find them there, then we'll go a little deeper into the social media. Every realtor is on social media. I can find you, each and every one of you.
And I would say, I do try to call, and a lot of them don't answer, and so then I'll send a text, and I state my name, my company. If we have like some mutual friends, we've done deals, in each other's offices, I'll throw that in there. But I just say, I know you probably have numerous phone calls. I just want to let you know I'm sending over an offer. What's most important to your seller? And usually they will respond to that. There are some out there though, and they're not even necessarily new. There are the bad apples out there that they're not going to return a call. They're not going to tell you anything, and it just sucks. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. There's a middle ground though, and I like this is probably unpopular opinion. Call the listing agent. Don't call them 17 times, right? Like give them an hour. If I'm sitting here speaking on a panel, I'm not answering my phone. And it's not because I don't want to answer my phone, like Diana said, if I can, and if I'm sitting in front of it, I'll answer it every time. I like to talk to people, right? But there does become that point where you become, like, I think they're just as a happy medium, and I think sometimes people get miffed if it's, you know, if I come out of a listing appointment, which takes me about 2 hours, which I know shouldn't, but like, again, I like to talk, and I have 14 missed calls from the same person plus a text message and an email, they might be the last call I return, right? So like, but I'm gonna return it. I'm not the person that you'll never be able to get a hold of me. My cell phone's on everything. But, you know, lead with professionalism, because for a lot of people, if you are in an appointment, a text message is easier. It's easier for me to look at my phone, not answer it, and be rude in front of my client and say, I'm in a meeting, but this is when you can expect a call back from me.
Well, and I guess kind of bouncing off that, we're never going to get to your other questions.
More women together.
You know, right? You know, I would say, again, you know, you don't want to be that agent that drives the listing agent crazy. Because I know, you know, and I would never share this with my sellers, but I do think, like, I hope they're not the best offer, because I can already tell they're going to be a pain in the ass, you know. And often we will have, you know, and I never would steer a seller, but often you have a couple pretty darn close offers. Like they are pretty similar. And your client will say, what do you think we should do? What one do you recommend? And I will, again, it's going to be that agent that I know I've worked with before and had a good relationship, or I respect their company, I respect their business, versus that one that sent me the offer with 7 PDF files and a remind link. Like they're not going to get it, you know, unless they are truly the best offer. That's different. But you know, don't be a pain in the ass, you know, for real. I mean, make that listing agent want to work with you, you know, that I would say more than anything.
And so make sure that you return the calls if you do have a listing. And what I will say, I saw a funny TikTok. A realtor was like, oh, when the agent that was a pain in the ass the whole transaction now makes an offer on your listing. Right. So that's the relationship in the industry, right? So your name and your reputation, which is why I make the calls back, because on another transaction, they might be on the other side, and it's really important. So make sure that you act as a professional as well, or if you get a bunch of calls and you call them back, don't be annoyed, because you know you want the other side. So just, and don't be the annoying, and at some point, if the listing agent is going to answer, there's nothing you can do. Right. Sometimes they do respond by text if they won't answer. And so I do try that, and I say who I am, and if I'm going to make an offer, I say that, they tend to answer those. Yeah. If you are.
And if they don't, I mean, there's just not great listing agents. Yeah.
Yep, if your clients want the house, you still have to write the offer, you know? It's like, that sucks. Hopefully it's the best offer, and then you can talk to them.
So the commonality is great communication, you know, and I tell my team that, you know, unless it's extreme, you cannot submit an offer without talking to the listing agent. We just don't allow it unless they're really, you know, because how do you know terms and stuff? And then, you know, with these guys' reputation and doing the right things and how you submit offers and how professional you are, we win in a lot of tight situations because of that, you know, so reputation does matter. So that's really, those are all, I think, very common points to them. All right, now a little bit, because of the market conditions, I'd like to get their expert opinions on the your local market right now. What are your impressions of the local market right now? And then any advice? No, whatever. It's just.
Well, it sucks. We're all in it, right? Like it doesn't matter how much you produce. We're writing offers too and getting beat out, right? Like it's not. There's no magic sauce to being a high producer. I didn't walk into a room and suddenly every offer I write is accepted. I'm writing 12 and 13 offers for people as well. I like to go the extra mile. Again, if you're on my social media, and I'm not like shy about anything I do or secrets. Like I have done anything to catch attention. I wrote tacos and margaritas and cheesecake into a deal recently. Like you're like to the agent and the seller. Like just accept our damn offer. Now it's not going to get me $20,000 under the highest offer, and I get that. But it might pull it to the top of the stack and call to their attention. calling the other agent is huge. I mean, honestly, we went highest and best on a property in Chesterfield recently. The other agent's a friend of mine, her first year in real estate, her first house that she sold was her parents' house, and I was the buyer's agent on it. She's actually not in real estate anymore, but she was helping a friend out. And we called her, myself and one of the agents at the office, and said, what's important? She said, it's sentimental. Her husband died. Write a letter. Make sure it doesn't have a fair housing violation in it. And I'll pass it on. And she did, and we got it. And it was a strong offer too, right? Like, again, we had a sizable appraisal guarantee, but we needed a house and we needed it that weekend. That client saw 3 properties with us and got under contract in 2 days. The communication, the relationship, and something that really played to her made the difference. But it's not impossible. Like, I think we're doing damage scaring our clients by being like, oh, this market, watch out. You're gonna have to give your firstborn in blood, right? Like, the reality is there are opportunities. There are houses that have been sitting on the market for 14 days. You don't have to offer $50,000 over asking in their firstborn if a house has been 7 days on the market. And I think if more agents sat down and had realistic expectation discussions with those clients, the deals would go smoother. That client was moving in from out of town, hadn't started doing her research, hadn't listed her house she was contingent on. Like, none of those things had happened, and we just were like, well, you better cash out some 401k because you need an appraisal guarantee for the situation you're in. Or in inverse, on a listing side, if somebody comes in and offers you $100,000 over your asking price on a house that nothing is sold for over $250,000 in the subdivision, talk to your sellers and say that, like, all you're going to be guaranteed is over this amount. We had one recently that was multiple offers. We were listed at $280,000, which the appraisal came in at $281,000. Like, I had done my research. We had a $15,000 appraisal guarantee, and my sellers didn't fight to try to get the $305,000. They just said, you already prepped us. 15 over, our list price is what we're going to get. And we signed the document, and it took 15 minutes. No fighting. No, I'm sad that I lost $9,000. No. Just like preparation.
Right. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm starting to feel a little bit of a shift, though. I don't know if you guys, I've had a couple clients, and this is not to like throw out doom and gloom or anything, but I've had a couple clients that have decided they're not moving because they don't like where they're at interest rate wise. Now they either can't afford or they just don't like the number of that move up house. So that was a seller and a buyer, and it's happened twice this week to me. I've had a couple buyers that have buyer fatigue and they've just, kind of tapped out. So I'm going to reach out to them again and just say, I think some opportunities are coming. But I do think what's going to happen, and we all need to kind of step up when it does, because I do truly think that shift is going to happen a little bit. We need to really prepare the sellers because they always lag behind, So if the interest rates continue to rise, and they're going to, I can't imagine why they won't. It's going to balance out a little bit more. Sellers are going to be the last to realize that, and they're still going to think that you're going to, hand them 20 offers on a silver platter. And so we really need to educate them, as to what they can truly expect and what the market looks like.
And truly educating the buyers as well. I'm sorry, what was your question?
Jim and Kim talked to us a lot about setting the expectations for buyers specifically. So any advice on how to keep buyers motivated in this market without killing their dream to buy a home?
Margaritas. No.
And nachos. No, I mean, when you sit down immediately, the first thing you're doing is having a buyer consult with people. I mean, it's very important to set yourself up, as the fiduciary, not a functionary. You're not a door opener, you're a trusted advisor. So when you're having that buyer consultation and you're meeting with that buyer for the first time, letting them know what the market is, looking at what they have to work with. What kind of situation are they in? Do they have a big bag of money on the side that they can write an appraisal guarantee with, or don't they? If they are going to be, a 3% down buyer, that's all the money they have, plus the closing costs, they're not going to be able to compete in a multiple offer situation, then you need to let them know, hey, we're probably not going to get that turnkey house. We're going to have to build some sweat equity. There's options out there for you. There's properties out there that have been on the market for more than 14 days. Maybe it's because they're overpriced. We might be able to get you a good deal. You might have to look at something that needs a project or two to happen. We can get you into a house, but it's just setting the expectation what house they're going to get. They're not getting the one that's in Architectural Digest if they're a 3% down buyer, and it's just not happening. And starting from that place and letting them know where they're at, and being truthful is the most important thing. Don't sell them a bill of goods you can't deliver on, So
If you have those candid conversations with your buyers, you can set that expectation and get permission to execute exactly as you've discussed. So obviously, if you have a buyer that, because everybody has them, right? But Zillow said, okay, cool. You know what? I had a lot of promises from my ex-husband. Doesn't mean until it actually happens, it's not signed, sealed, and delivered. But if you sit down with a buyer during a consultation and know that they need to get concessions and they're not going to be competitive, you can ask them, do I have your permission to set your search up for anything that's been on the market 14 days or longer? Because we know we're not going to be competitive otherwise, right? And if they give you that permission, you then have to have a follow-up conversation to say, but if I do this and you're on Zillow, you will see inventory that you won't see from me. Know that. So if something doesn't, because if you don't have that conversation, then they're going to say, wow, this is on Zillow and you didn't send it to me. You're not doing your job. But honestly, I think that's a transparency and communication thing to begin with anyways. And that's probably why my listing appointments take 2 hours, because you can't go through anything that could potentially happen, but you can set expectations, and it does make your life. I'd rather spend 2 hours at the front end than 15 hours at the back end trying to figure out how I'm going to get myself out of something that I didn't explain. Right.
And so with foreshadowing with the buyers, I like to, during a consultation, or when I first meet them at a house, depending on the situation, I have a buyer power checklist that I printed on neon paper, and I tell them to, first of all, they don't ever look at it, but I do give it to them. And I say the more of these things on this list we can include in an offer, if it's multiple offers, the better our chances. And then I say, you might not be able to do only one of these maybe, or none of them, or maybe we can do all of them, but read this now so that when you do fall in love with that house and we're going to write an offer, and I'm saying, appraisal guarantee, escalation clause, free occupancy, they're not like a deer in headlights. I've prepared them a little bit. And I actually got this tip from someone else. I think I was watching a video on Facebook, but the area that they're looking in, or if you're writing an offer, do a quick CMA and show them specifically the percent over from list to sale, that little number that you can get in a report. Show them that. So if you can show, well, hey, in this quarter mile in Royal Oak, the average house sold for 108% of the list price. So yeah, we really can't go in 10 under, And that way you're not the bad guy. The data is the bad guy. The market is the bad guy. But prepare them, more than anything.
It also helps if you can figure out their situation. So for buyers, I'm going to advise them differently. Sometimes it's a young couple and this is their first home, or maybe they're going to live there 3 to 5 years, or somebody that is going to live there a long time. Somebody that's putting down 20%, maybe they don't need to put 20% down, but they can do that appraisal guarantee. So having a lender partner that can talk with the buyer to really see what kind of financing you can get creative with. I just helped one of our agents, Joe, she had a client that had this dream of building a home, buying land and building a home. And so we did a consultation, and I'm like, well, here's your pitfalls if you do that. I'm not saying it's bad, but with the budget that you have, what you're wanting to build, and here's the things that you can run into with building a new home, and where you might end up price-wise. At the end of the consultation, they're like, okay, we've ruled that out. We don't want to do that, but they needed help figuring that out. Then their budget, they had set a budget for them, and once we talked to them, they could actually afford more, and they're realizing, okay, within my budget, I'm not finding what I want. So they were able to, well, let's go over the numbers to see what that number can be. And they're like, oh, well, we could afford this if it's the right home. And even one step further, they have a lot of equity in their home, so they don't want to sell till they buy. Well, we talked about those possibilities. Well, they were only considering homes that were ready. Okay, and so I threw out a couple ideas. I'm like, well, in your home, you have enough equity. You could do a bridge loan and make an offer non-contingent. You could also buy a home that maybe needs a new kitchen but has everything else you want. Go ahead and buy it, do the renovation, and then sell your home. They had that flexibility. They're like, we never thought about that. So laying out different options, so you're opening up the doors for other. Now they're looking at homes that they weren't considering before. So you have to dig into, why are they moving? how you can help them. Be creative with ideas. Help them see that they can't live in this area at that budget, but they could go here and get what they want. So maybe you can expand that to get what you want. So you really have to kind of dig in and then get creative. And if you don't know, brainstorm with somebody. Let's talk about an idea. How might I be able to help this buyer? What do I need to do? Is it their price, their down payment, that appraisal? If they don't have those things, how can I still help them? And don't think in the box. Don't set your, automatic emails and think that that's going to solve it. You got to get creative and put some work into it.
So again, the commonality is obviously they're working and digging, and like we talked about, we really vet, those initial buyer and seller consultations. You really got to vet your buyers and sellers and set the expectation. I think that's so critical. That's really the difference between success and failure, because there's going to be multiple offers. There's for buyers. You got to prep them for that though. This is going to be above asking, and again, you got to know what your buyer in that case is looking for, just like they said. And then your sellers, like I said, that are they realistic with what their expectations are? So excellent. This is a good segue. So obviously, multiple offer situations. And now you guys don't have to all answer it. Anybody can jump in. Multiple offer situations. What's one of your go-to strategies? I know it's a variable, but what do you guys look to do in multiple offer situations?
Want to jump first?
Well, if we're giving an appraisal guarantee, I always give proof of funds. Even, the old school was you do that with cash offers. Well, now, actually almost every instance, I will give proof of funds with the offer, unless they are a 3% down buyer and they have $5 more in their account than that. If it's going to make us look bad, I don't do it. But even if, I have done this. Like, I had a client that was very able to do maybe 25, 30% down. But they wanted to have money for the appraisal guarantee and honestly for some renovations in the house. So I didn't want our offer to look bad because we wrote it at only 5% down. So I got proof of funds, and I made sure I put, in my cover email that, that they have the ability to put this much down. We're just choosing not to. And then I also had the lender reach out and, let the listing agent know that as well. So, that's one thing that really does help a lot. And like they said, find out what the seller wants. It's not always the highest offer. It may be occupancy might be a sticking point. So find that out, and maybe you can even save your client a little bit of money by giving the seller something else that they needed.
Yeah, I think you hit on something too in a multiple offer situation, in any offer situation, and I was guilty of this, and it came to bite me in the ass, and honestly, so we've changed our strategy. But when you're sending out that email, don't keep it brief, right? Honestly, that email with your offer should have a summation. So I was guilty of that. I would write a body and I'd be like, hi, my name is Jessica. I'm whatever. But it was fluff, right? It just was to feel more personal. I wasn't actually breaking that offer down. And so we had multiple offer for a buyer on a property, and I had called the agent. I had done all the right steps, right? And she called me and she's like, you know what, we ended up with multiple offers, and this is where we are, blah, 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 blah. And I said to her, so she lays out the other offers. She's like, I want to work with you. You guys had your offer in first. I have permission to speak about what the offers are. Here they are. She didn't even see some of our terms in the other terms and conditions. She hadn't read through. She saw our cover page. We had an escalation clause. Everybody's different about how they handle them. I personally don't mind them. But we had an escalation clause. We had free occupancy. She hadn't paid attention to any of those added terms that we had already built in. We had an appraisal guarantee. We could have been VA, but we went to conventional specifically to make it more lucrative. It was Macomb County, so we had assumed the septic and well for the sellers. We had a lot. And we were the strongest offer by a lot, but had she just picked it based on, and I didn't. I had a really nice email built out to her, but it didn't say, here's some key points. So now when I'm submitting offers, I say, I do the same thing. My name is Jessica, blah, 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 here it is. I don't do, I've been in the business this long, and you should take it because I'm just amazing. Right, yeah, exactly. I don't do that, but I do introduce myself. I do usually write something about the clients that's not a fair housing violation, and now I say, I'd like to illustrate some of the highlights of our offer, and I bullet point it out for them. Because I'm not that I'm guilty of it, I read through every single offer, whether there's 16 or 37 or 2, right? But you can't expect you out of other people. Right. I just really, so yeah.
One thing I want to add to that though too, not just, us calling the agent, a lot of times, and I'm on both sides, I do listings and buyers, but I will tell you, if you have You know, a lot of our buyers are FHA or they're VA or they're MSHA, and sometimes that's hard to get a deal accepted. Trust me, I feel your pain. But if you have a lender that is willing to go to bat for your offer, especially in that VA or MSHA situation, that is 1,000% key. Those buyers are primed and ready to make appraisal guarantees in ways that a lot of other buyers are not. So I have an amazing lender, several amazing lenders, but Diana is amazing. She will go to bat for VA clients, MSHA clients, FHA clients, and sell your client to the list agent as well, and why their offer is actually probably better than maybe a conventional offer, because they have a pile of cash they're not using for a down payment. They can use that for an appraisal guarantee. So getting in partnership with lenders that are going to bat for you as well is extremely key, I think. You know, so
I recently had a listing and I had multiple offers, and I had an agent submit an offer. It went live Friday, got the offer Friday, and the lender's calling me before I even have a chance to reach out to them. So I do think, and you know, in having the conversation with the listing agent can help from a standpoint of knowing what's important to the seller. I got creative one time, and this was an experienced agent on the other side. We showed it. I got them to cancel 26 showings and take my offer. We went in with a strong offer. We had made offers on a few different properties. They understood appraisal guarantee. They understood what that meant. And there were the previous house, I'm like, well, this is reckless, so I can't say that I can even advise you to go what they ended up getting for that. But on this one, I got him to cancel it. And there was two offers that were very close neck to neck. And the conversation made a difference because they were very similar offers, price, and appraisal guarantees, and the other guy was having more, the other agent had more appraisal guarantee. And I said, well, listen, this is what I'm gonna do. I said, I could give you more appraisal guarantee, but it will mean nothing to your seller because the appraisal is gonna come in within this gap. So what we'll do instead, we'll pay for the owner's title insurance, or transfer tax. And what I did though, I didn't just tell him that, and on this particular one, there's different opinions on love letters. My agents asked me if it's good or not. Depends on the listing agent, depends on if it's gonna work. I've done it, not done it, and I've received them and not given them to my seller. So again, it depends on the situation. But in this case, I put in the transfer tax and I put it in an email and explained why I was doing transfer tax. And I said, we're gonna pay the seller's transfer tax because they have a cost no matter what, regardless of the appraisal coming in. So we know that we're gonna save the seller more money. He ended up taking our offer, canceling 26 showings, and took our over the other one. The other agent wasn't happy about that. But that's where the creative comes in and spelling it out. And guess what I did? I sent him an email. I also was texting it to him because it was coming down to the wire. And I spelled out how much that meant to the seller. And I sent it because some agents will forward your email. So when you tell the story and you tell the terms, the listing agent sometimes just forwards it to the seller. So I act like I'm speaking to the seller on why my offer is best and the terms. But he literally told me, he copied my text and sent it to the seller on explaining the transfer tax, and then they took my offer. So he didn't want to have to redo that, so he shared it. Yeah. He's an experienced, good agent. It didn't have my information, but he shared it so he didn't have to do it, and that made the difference in the offer. So,
and not even just that. So one of the things that I've seen in offers, and technically speaking, from a legal perspective, isn't really a legal thing that people are doing, is negotiating commissions in a purchase agreement. Not supposed to do it. But you can do a reverse concession. So a reverse concession will effectively take 3% of the seller's closing costs, which include that commission, and credit it back to them. So don't want to do a huge appraisal guarantee, or you've capped out at what they're willing to consider for an appraisal guarantee, a reverse concession will offset their cost to close without violating the law and negotiating commissions within your purchase agreement. But I think that's a good point too. Don't write an offer. If something's listed for 2.5%, the minute you open that door, you agreed to sell it for 2.5%. Like, that's it. Like, you have the right to not show it or show it, but once you show it, your commissions and stuff really shouldn't be in there. That's between you and your buyer's agency. But yeah, in multiple offer situations with somebody who's cash heavy, we've done that. We've agreed to pay closing costs. We've called it a reverse concession. We've picked specifically transfer tax, or you just can't say we're paying my agent's commission directly. Because really it could screw the seller if they have an unscrupulous listing agent. As everybody knows, if I bring a buyer to your listing and we haven't negotiated a variable commission, I make it 6%, right? So if you write it as they're gonna pay their own agent's commission, it may not save them any money. Well, first of all, again, you're not, the listing agent could take all 6, plus you'll be paying your person's 3% out, but if you direct it at the seller.
So, huge elephant in the room, we're talking about the market. And I know that, again, everybody up there, and myself included, talk to all of our prospects and clients about what's gonna happen with their property taxes next year. So, and I do know there's some newer agents in the room. Please explain how you talk to your clients about what is gonna happen with their property taxes.
Yeah.
And how to figure that out.
I love the pop-up tax situation because it's a really good point for me to stand out from other agents that buyers have talked to because nobody's talking about them. In fact, I have 2 listings that the houses are not affordable anymore because of how far they popped up. I always give a range. I take the SEV, and that's the low end, and then I take a true 50% of what the sales price is, that's the high end. And I email out before we make the offer and say, this is what your taxes are going to be. But I also think, and I do this anyways religiously with my buyers, but I think that's where having a really good lender comes into play because the lenders know that as well and also don't disclose, right? And so Diana, who's wonderful, but also like really any Mortgage One agent that I've worked with in the past tends to stand out for that because they calculate the new payment not at what the taxes currently are. I almost feel like, and I've had this discussion, but like life gets away from me and I haven't done it. I almost feel like that's a disclosure I'd like to have in my arsenal, just to say, like, you're signing off right now with your purchase agreement that you know. But to that point, I was getting my nails done the other day and there was a girl ranting about her aunt who was a brand new agent and sold her house, and her payment went from $900 to $1,500 because of the pop-up taxes. She's a single 22-year-old girl. She can't afford $1,500.
Just think about that when you said, I think Colleen said you were a fiduciary, right? You are fiduciarily responsible to your client, and not only to get them that house, but to keep them in that house. So it does no good if we're going to have a bunch of, people are talking about, well, what's going to happen if the market drops, right? Or what's going to happen if all these foreclosures didn't make their payments? The real problem is going to be 2 years from now when the taxes are unaffordable. So if we're not having those conversations with your clients.
And you should know, it's your responsibility to educate yourself. You can't say, well, I had a house in Macomb Township and the taxes didn't pop up that high, so yours aren't going to either. That's not good advice. Are they in Utica schools? Are they in Chippewa Valley schools? Stay the hell out of Clinton Township. Like, you can't say that, right? But you can say, if you're looking at these areas, you should know that within these areas, I'm happy to show you every house, but your Chippewa Valley schools are going to be a lot higher than your Utica schools or your New Haven schools.
There's a website, Michigan Property Tax Estimator, and if you go to that, you can put in what the SCV value is, the county, the city, and the school, and that will calculate it. And so I always calculate that on what the new price is, and I have had that make a difference for my clients because if you have to understand that if somebody's lived in their home for 30 years, their taxes are going to show really low because of Proposal A, and there's a limit to how much the taxes can increase every year. So if they've lived in the home 30 years, those taxes don't represent what your clients are going to pay. And you should, as a real estate professional, understand what that means and be able to explain it to your clients.
It's not always high dollar areas either. Hazel Park's millage is 93. 93, that's insane, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's absolutely insane, some of the areas. So I think people are like, well, I'll go to Hazel Park, it's affordable. Not until, like, maybe right this second it is, but when they...
About New Haven too, but it's a village, so you have village taxes, not city taxes.
But New Haven's village tax equals out to still less than Chippewa Valley School, even with 3 taxations. Right, and that's it, right? You have to know.
New Haven is inexpensive.
And lenders don't know. I do a ton in New Haven, obviously I live there, but lenders don't know. We've gotten a week from closing and it completely changes the DTI when they realize that there's a third tax, right? That's your responsibility. And you can't go back to your client and be like, I didn't know, I've never sold in New Haven. The minute they say they're looking, it's like, I know, right? Everything's evenings and weekends. Your daytime is education. It's not like bonbons and soap operas. Like, it's really... Yeah,
Well,
right?
and having a relationship with your lender helps too.
Yeah.
Because then, like, my lender runs first and second year for me.
Yeah.
No matter what, like, right off the get. I'm like, this is your first year.
Yep.
This will be your second year when your taxes go up.
Yep.
So then they have no surprises. Everybody's set up. You protected yourself. You've protected your buyer, and
Yeah.
people win.
I think she had a question.
Oh, I was just talking about the villages, because a lot of new agents don't understand that every year, or whenever we have our elections, villages for the cities change. I had a first-time home buyer, 2 sisters, one went with me, one went with someone else, and they wanted to buy in Warren. They had just changed the millage because they had put in all those new lights for the city, and they're gonna be there for the next 10 years. So she wanted Warren, I told her, you can't buy in Warren because the taxes are gonna be this much next year. Her sister ended up buying in Warren, she ended up buying in Sterling Heights. Her house payment is lower than her sister's. Her sister's went up 3 times the taxes.
Just from a tip perspective, anytime you see village, you're gonna have 3 taxes. Because when you're a village, the township has their own assessed value because they're handling your assessment, but the village is also getting a separate. So Romeo is not exempt from that, Lathrop Village. Anytime you see it, you should know that you're gonna see that.
Can I ask a different question?
Of course you can.
With regards to the people who have teams, how do you guys construct your business when it comes to CRM, when it comes to delegating different things for different people based off of how busy you are?
That's a very big question.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's not an easily answered question. I mean, I have a team. I have a small team, small but mighty, sitting at the table with you. So I say, hey, hey. So, yeah, I mean, we use Boomtown as a CRM. They get trained on Boomtown. That's the first thing they do when they join the team. Once they go through their Boomtown training, we also use a system called Conversion Monster, which is pre-screening all of our leads that are coming in. The only business I work right now is my client, my sphere. My client referrals and my agent-to-agent referrals. Everything else that's coming through our website, through Facebook, through ads we run, all that is going into Boomtown, and Conversion Monster is handling it on the front end, and then it's getting delegated to the buyer's agents on the team. Initially, Tisha was our first buyer's agent to come on the team, so she was getting everything. Now, Lauren just came to the team, say, hey, Lauren. So now it's getting rotated between the 2 of them. When we have a Conversion Monster warm transfer call, it's kind of like a Zillow handoff call. Those will be getting rotated between the 2 buyer's agents. But every team is different. Every team is structured in a different way. They may have different criteria based on performance levels on the team. Is this agent converting at a higher rate? Do they get a higher rate of leads then in that case? So it's kind of a loaded question. It depends on the team that you join. That's how we do it, but it's probably totally different than how.
Well, I'm trying to understand what your question is. You mentioned a CRM.
A CRM,
Like routing, I think, for
delegate,
leads.
you know, buyers and sellers and postcards, and I've received your postcards, you know, Sterling Heights or whatever. So your face always comes up, you know? So like, do you take 10% off of what you make back into marketing? Like, I guess building your team, building your business, delegating different tasks based off of people's strength, and you know, you want to focus on your strength versus something you really don't want to do. So like, just in general.
Yeah, I think as when you're building a team, like she said, that's kind of a big question, and then your second part just made it bigger. Right. So I don't think that's an easily answered because it depends on what your goal. You have to break down. Here's the thing: just because you have a team doesn't make you great and profitable and means you're doing all this business. So you have to look. I'm in rooms with $50 million producers, $610 million producers that have teams, and that's part of our conversation yesterday. There was one guy that had a team of 6 agents, and all 6 of them walked out at the same time. So, I put myself in rooms with people running huge teams across the country, and they don't all do it the same. How they do leads, what they do, their marketing. So it's kind of a loaded question, but you have to really look at what your goal is with building a team. So first you want to build your business, you know, get an assistant. There's a process that you kind of want to go through, in my opinion, before you're getting to that team. And so that's kind of a big question that, you know, would make it for a good, And it could be a different answer for each person, I guess is what my point is.
I'm gonna just, so I run the team. So no, she's the boss, but I run the team. So my philosophy is a little different. We do try to create a total agent. So I think a lot of, and again, this is just our philosophy. So a lot of teams really segment buyer, even break down the little parts and parcels. I want these guys to be high-level agents at some point, and if they still, if they choose to stay on a team, great. If they go out and grow their business or they want to start their own team, I'm like a happy dad. That's great. So that's kind of our philosophy. I do, like right now, we're doing ClickFunnels, so I pay and do ClickFunnels for each and every one of them. So they're getting their own lead gen provided by me. We do Zillow, so actually I'm just adding them to Zillow, and so I can funnel leads to them. So I'm trying to help them grow their business, but I'm also trying to teach them how to grow their business. So social media is something that is a non-negotiable. So we do have that as part of what they do day to day and how they learn. I've got someone that does social media for us and with us, Brenna, very talented. She's also an agent, but she's very, very good with social media. So again, we share a lot. The rooms that Kim gets us in is pretty phenomenal. So we share great best practices from all over the country. So
and our goal is not just the leads. Sorry, I didn't mean, and keep going, but it's not just the leads. We teach them to prospect also. So even if they're on our team, if they really want to have a business, I have business coming to me from multiple sources. If you really want to stay consistent and you want to have a true business, you can't rely on one thing. So even though we do provide leads and we teach, I had one last night. Ross was at the office and I had this lady, I'm like, hey, she needs help right now. Here you go. And I transferred it through our CRM. So, and that's somebody that's been in my system for some time, but you have to prospect, and you have to have different ways that you're building your business, not just buying leads. The conversion percentage on buyer leads online is low. So I mean,
if your main lead generating thing is Zillow, you're going to find that. There was a time when Zillow was like every real estate agent's best friend, right? We bought Zillow leads. I was making bank with them. I was making like $6.37 for every lead that I had, for every dollar I spent. That's not so true anymore. It's great. There's different programs. I'm not here to bash Zillow or whatever. It works for some agents. If you got a budget, it's great. But for me, 1,000%, it's about building that relationship. It's a lot easier to build a relationship with the guy that you met at the bar last weekend or at the baseball game, or whatever it is you do for fun. Soccer, I go bowling. That's my thing, my jam. If you follow me on social media, you will see me at the Bowling Warehouse. I do a technical term, shit ton of business out of that place. But that's where my friends are. But it's a constantly changing and rotating group of friends. So it's always new people coming in, every new league. Not going to toot my own horn, but I am the league champion right now. At 53, I'm the oldest bitch in the room, and I got the trophy. So if I suck at real estate, that's my future. I'm going on the road.
We also do, I have a sphere of influence system and training, so that we put them through also, because I agree, along with that, relationships, SOI is critical to long-term success. So we do formal training with that also. Yep. So, okay, yes. Oh, Rasta.
Speaking of lead generation, which is obviously probably the most important part of business, do y'all give advice on follow-up? Because, they always say the money is in.
Yeah, do it. Do it like I tell you every day.
Just keep adding value.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Girl, ladies, go ahead.
I mean, she said she's not a salesperson. Right. I suck. I suck. If you don't want to buy or sell a house, I am not pounding on your door 19 times. I'm moving on to the next. And I get that sounds really trite, because I'm at a point in my business where I can do that, right? But even back in the day, I'm not a salesperson. The houses sell themselves. I'm a fiduciary. I'm a friend. I'm a what the fuck are you thinking? Don't buy that shit. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a follow-up person. However, if somebody's engaging, follow-up is easy. Like you could, just like they can read us and say, they're not really interested in my business, we can read them and say, they're not really interested in working with me. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that I'm like, that guy's a dick. And his wife has got her nose in the air and I don't want to do it. And I don't follow up with those. And every once in a while I'll get something. I actually got one that was like, I just wanted you to know, I just closed on a property. You treated me like a potato and dropped me. And I was like, yeah, because you're batshit. Like, I don't want to work with you, right? But like when people are engaged, that follow-up becomes muscle memory because they're reaching out to you and you're just responding back. Your best follow-up is like good service. Now, I will say, if you call somebody, I had a guy the other day that's like, I'm from out of state. My mom's, my mother-in-law actually just passed away. We have to sell our house. I didn't realize when I clicked on this, right? I never realized that when I clicked on this, somebody was going to call me. But I do have a house to sell, and it is going to take me 30 days to be in Michigan to go over that. iCalendar, don't pay, like, and I'm not saying don't pay for a good CRM. I have a really good CRM now, right? But you don't have to do a good job. Right. I pay $300 a month for a really good CRM and I do utilize it, but it still doesn't remind me of birthdays and stuff. And the reason why is I've never put them in there. I always have them in my, right? It's only as good as like what you put into it, right? But I have it on my iCalendar, so when I wake up in the morning, like I pee and then I look at my calendar, and sometimes I do it at the same time, right? And then that's how I know what the day has for me. And so I send out a birthday card, but I also call or text message and I'm like, hell yeah, happy birthday, like, or you looked really old, you should probably get some facial cream, or like, you know, like depending on how close I am to the client. Right, exactly. So right, exactly. So, but your CRM can be as simple as your calendar. Put reminders in, establish reminders. I'm also that space case that walks in my house and I'm like, no bra, no pants, no work. Oh no, it doesn't end at the door, right? But like I'll space those. So I have reminders set with a GeoNet that says, when you get to your house, tell Alana that it's her birthday. Tell her happy birthday. Remember that, because I'm not doing it on the road. I already drive terribly. Like, you don't need me texting on top of it. Like, those are the things that the follow-up is important for. And again, I'm going to hit Facebook. I said the other day in another panel, Facebook is, I'm a pretty open book. Like, if you want to know something about me, like, I'll just tell you. I'm not really shy about anything, really. But my clients are on my Facebook, and my Facebook reminds me every single morning, you have 9 birthdays, right? Yeah. Right? And so, like, it's not even something I have to think about. It's just like, oh, I have 9 birthdays, I should probably check. And it's a great tool because I don't ask people for their IDs, it's kind of awkward, right? So if I close a property and I add them to my Facebook and I don't know when their birthday is, I can look them up on Facebook and find out when. And then I can add them to our rotation, and then they're surprised because they never gave me that information, and a card with a $5 Cold Stone card showed up at their property unsolicited. So follow-up's key, but like I said, if somebody's like 6 months from now, I'm going to think about starting to sell, you know, whatever, unless you put it in your calendar, I don't.
Okay, just try to throw like one piece of follow-up that's in there that is out of the box, you know, besides the text, the email, and the call that's programmed into your follow-up plan. You know, maybe invite them out to lunch, maybe for a coffee, maybe, you know, hey, I'm having a movie night, you know, if you want to bring your kid. I mean, whatever it is, just something that's just not in that normal pattern, that's outside the box, that will catch their attention.
You know, and I don't know if your question was even more specifically like about a CRM, you know, per se, but you know, they always say the best CRM is the one you'll use. You know, you can ask 100 of the top producers and they'll all say something else, but they'll say the best CRM is the one you use. I, until just recently, started using one, and I still suck at it, I'll be honest. Like, and it's just because our broker makes us do it, and you know, I've gotten a little better about putting my own stuff in there, but yeah, Rachel, you guys are laughing, you know. I'm not great at it. I actually just sent a mass email the other day just for fun, and I'm like, oh my God, it worked. Wow, look at this technology. You know, like 70% actually opened it. I'm like, wow, this is cool. It took me 5 minutes. But definitely, you know, do the follow-up. And this is kind of off on a tangent, but it's something I used to do, and then I got pretty busy. I fell away from it, and I'm going to get back at it again. Stay in contact with your past clients. There is nothing more painful than seeing that your client moved and they did not move with you. That sucks. Even more than that, like, say that it's your listing, and especially now if you have a rock star listing agent on the other side, don't do it. But most of the agents out there are not rock stars. If they sucked during the transaction, you know they're not related to the buyer that bought your listing, put them in your database, reach out to them. I can't tell you in the last year how many listings that I sold maybe 3 or 4 years ago are now for sale again. And I look, and that buyer turned seller didn't use the agent that they bought it with. And I was like, if I would have kept in touch with them, that probably would have been my business, and I left it on the table. So the other side of the transaction is fair game if their agent is not, continuing their own follow-up. That's easy business. We're just stepping over it right now,
I would say most agents don't do that. And I do know you have a CRM system. And I do know it is good. And it is important. And I do share that we're blessed the fact that we actually do get a really robust KV Core is our CRM system. You do have to use it, because it doesn't matter if you have it, if you don't use it and you don't utilize it. But I've told you multiple stories over that house that closed on Monday that I didn't go above asking. She was in my CRM for 2 years. So you can go, okay, well, who's doing that? My CRM system followed up with me. So I do put people in there. It does send them homes. So I have helped that family. I helped their uncle. It took her 2 years, but now her dad is buying a home and moving from Arizona. They already had I could have helped them sell the home in Arizona, but they already had it. They were putting it on the market, but I'm going to help them buy here. So now she's already referring more business, and it's within the family, so the family's loving me. I did a post about closing with her. We know so many people in common. That post is still going this morning. And all these people commenting, and my son went to De La Salle, her son went to De La Salle, but I met her through her sister, and that was all social media. But all these people are going, oh, I had one lady that's a friend, but she didn't know I was the agent. She goes, she was raving about her agent. Now it makes sense. She didn't know I was the agent. So that kind of thing helps for them to see. But the CRM system is going to help you, because when you're getting those leads, those internet leads, they're not always going to buy today.
Yeah.
And if they're in my CRM system and it's following up for me, even if it takes 2 years, I still want to help her in 2 years, because now the 2 years is up. I'm like, yay, glad I did that, right? But it's not work for me, but the birthdays can go in there, but you have to do that. So, and yeah, Facebook is a great reminder.
Stacy made a great point. I want to throw some numbers at you, just how poignant this is. We use, occasionally we'll use Client Giant, just their quarterly gifts and stuff. We do some other things just to stay in front of our clients. But about 80% of people that buy or sell say, they're generally happy with their agent and they would use them again. What percentage of those people you think actually use those agents when they try to transact again, when they go to transact again?
It's under 50, isn't it?
Oh, it's like 15%.
Okay, yeah.
So what's there's only one reason why. They did not follow up and stay in front of them, so they forgot about them. Okay? Those numbers, guys, and that's why we do a lot with SOI. That's why these guys are rock stars. They keep in touch, and they use their sphere of influence. My gosh, your acquisition, how much easier. I want to talk to someone that flipping knows, likes, and trusts me than talk to Johnny Crazy on the internet.
Yeah, who does not? Who would not rather spend time talking to their past clients, their friends, their family, than cold calling expireds and FSBOs that just want to hang up and say, fuck off. I want the call that's going to say, hey, you know what, why don't you come over, we're having dinner Friday night, I'm having a dinner party and you're going to meet 10 other people, they're there. And let me tell you, you don't have to go and solicit the fact that you're a real estate agent. The real estate market is the hottest thing topic-wise for so many people now. You go to any party and people find out you're a realtor, they're hounding you with questions. You don't have to sell anything. Just get out there and talk about it.
Question?
I want to know from everyone on the panel, what are you most excited about as a next goal, or something you foresee in your business?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is a good question.
Business excites me, but for me, it's always travel. I always have the next vacation planned. So I'm like, oh, I got to hit this, and then I can actually take time off.
Yeah. Tell them where you're going next. That'd be exciting.
Yeah, we're doing Italy, France, and Spain.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's coming up. Yeah. I have an assistant, right? But we'll talk. I'd always use more help. Like, I think that's a really good question though, because you have to have a big why, right? And so we talked about that at the beginning, but your why tends to change. Like, one of the biggest milestones, and this is like, again, for the people who know me, they know. Like, I literally had months at a homeless shelter with my kids. I was a domestic violence, like, I hate the word survivor. I think it's so stupid, but I left. I decided to leave, and I didn't have anywhere to go, and I stayed at a homeless shelter. And when I started selling real estate, I still had food stamps and like whatever. That first goal was like, I walked into a 7-Eleven with my boys, and they asked for like a candy bar, and I didn't have to say no. Like it was $2, but I had just got a commission and it was comfy and I could do it, right? And then I went crazy and I bought them pizza every night for like a while, and then I calmed down and I'm like, oh, this is a lot of pizza money. We're going back to Little Caesars. We can't do this. But that goal got different, right? And then it was like, well, I'm kind of a hypocrite. I live in like subsidized housing and I'm selling houses. And first of all, I'm making too much now, so they're gonna kick me out anyway, but I probably should own a house. Like, I think for me, that next goal is I just took on a buyer's agent for the first time 2 weeks ago, and I want to see his business grow because, frankly, I could survive and thrive on half of what I make. I want to be able to pass that on and make somebody else's life better with that. And then every year for me is how much I can contribute to the charities that I'm involved in, because a lot of those benefited us when I was down and out. So.
Yeah, I would say for me, philanthropy is huge. Habitat for Humanity, I'm pretty involved with, a homeless shelter in Pontiac. And you know what, I'd actually, this is really hard for me to actually sit up here and do, but it's something that I have wanted to do, is try to, empower and help other people. We share some commonality, so anytime I can empower women, really, it's like near and dear to me. Balance is my word for this year, because last year I had none, and 110 transactions as a solo agent sounds awesome, but it takes a huge toll on your life.
I'm tired just
and yeah, it took a huge toll, and I don't need to do quite that much again, and I'm working on trying to bring on a buyer's agent. It's slow going because it's my husband, and the jury is out if this is going to work or not. But so balance is my goal. But then to also to actually be able to enjoy some hobbies again, and be able to do more with the charities that I like to do things with. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I get to answer too? So for me, it's kind of funny. My expansion team is already in Honolulu. So, I mean, that's where we're going. That was, it's funny. I work with my twin sister, if you don't know this. My twin sister and I started as a team together. And when we first went to KW, they did this vision board project. And for me, it was like, Hawaii is my happy place. That's where I want to go. It's where I want to end up. I want to retire and be a broker there. And that's, I thought that was my big why. It was a big why. It's where I wanted to go. But so I put it on a board and brokerage in Hawaii. There's me surfing. I go there. I mean, to be fair, I've been there like 13 times. It is truly my happy place. And my vision board became reality when my twin sister did it for me. Without me. She started the expansion team there. Yeah, right? I know. I come up with all these great ideas and other people implement them. But, at the end of the day, my goal is to end up there. It seems like all of us have housing charities that we deal with, and I think that's amazing. I love your story. That's, so personal. And in Hawaii, there's no exception to that. The Hawaiian people are honestly being displaced out of their own island. They're getting priced out. It is no oddity if you go to Hawaii and find a 1,000 square foot house that has 5 or 6 bedrooms and 3 generations of Hawaiian people living there. My uncle my Uncle Charlie, Nakoa, who's Hawaiian, was in charge of the Queen Liliuokalani Fund, say that 10 times fast, which basically provided housing and healthcare and education to all Hawaiian families. If you are Hawaiian descent, it took care of you. He passed away last year, sadly, but he is, throughout the Hawaiian Islands, somebody that was known to take care of the Hawaiian people. And so we are continuing that on. So she is starting a foundation with my Aunt Susie, who's still remaining, to try and help Hawaiian people stay in their homes. Fun fact, not really fun, but Las Vegas is now known as the 6th Hawaiian Island because so much of the population from Hawaii has moved to Las Vegas. So the goal is to try and keep Hawaiian people in Hawaii. So that's where we're going with that foundation work
I
there.
would say for my next goal, and it's funny, like you said, it changes throughout the years. And so initially it was, I was doing it and raising my kids. And then when my kids, this is our first year as empty nesters, and I'm like, what do I do with myself? Like, I need a life, I need some friends, I need some hobbies. Like, my kids, especially with the travel sports, we were all over the place. And so I'm thrilled to say that they're all making their own life and doing very well, which is what they were supposed to do. So now it's like, what do I do with myself? You know, we've been growing, and I've been excited about that and passionate about that. I really do want to have, because I've sold a lot of real estate, and you know, we had a great year last year. I do want to get back some freedom. So for me, part of what, and this is just part of my story, part of what EXP gives me is the more people that I help and the more agents that I help brings me some passive income that allows me some freedom. So building the team, I want to see them succeed. When they're having their first deals and closing and they've got that appointment, like, it is so exciting. I get more excited about that. I love helping my clients, but seeing their success has been a lot of fun. And when they come with me to the questions, Mario asked me a question, we were getting ready to start, and I'm like, okay, that is not a 30-second answer, so let's talk after. So, but it was a great question. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun. And he's like, how do I do this? I'm like, well, we're gonna talk about that, and I wanna give you that answer. So that's where my passion, my kids are in I have kids in 3 different spots right now. So I paid for a vacation for us all to come together in July. I just wanna bring us all together. I do like to travel, but I want us all in the same place. As they start their own lives, I'm like, I'm seeing this one, I'm seeing Cole play baseball and Cassie play volleyball, and I have 2 grandkids, which sounds obnoxious, but they're super cute, that I could be a grandma. I'm a Mimi. But the fact that I want to see them go up. I want to be able to, you know, a couple weeks ago on Thursday night, I'm like, I'm going to see Cole pitch. He's pitching tomorrow, and I got up in the morning and I drove to West Virginia and I went and saw him pitch and spent the weekend with him. So those are the kind of things that I like to do. You know, we're involved, Jim does a ton with helping a lot of players, non-charitable baseball with the Detroit Metro Stars, and helping kids make their dream come true of playing college baseball. So we do a lot of things like that. But I do want to find, as far as a business goal, I want to get to where I do have some of that freedom where I can pick up and Jim and I can travel together. It's, you know, sometimes we're dividing and conquering with the kids, and being able to, a financial thing is be able to bring my kids and my family together as they start their own families and have kids and wives and all that. I want us to be able to come together and just enjoy the moments. It doesn't have to be big and fancy, but I do want to travel to some of those places, and I want to take the whole family and let's just go and spend some time together, because you know, that's what's most important to me is the family.
Wow, this time has flown so far. Awesome stuff, in my opinion. So each one of you, though. Oh, Rasta. Okay, that's 2, and that's the 3rd question. Go ahead.
We know he's paying attention.
Real quick, so I'm a book guy, so I love quotes and philosophies and rapping as y'all know, right? Can each of y'all give me one book that has drastically impacted y'all? Just one.
Just one?
Yeah, just one.
No.
The most important.
Oh, I will go first. So you heard me talk about Ninja. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the Ninja selling system. It is based on a book called The Go-Giver. Anybody read that? It will change your life. I think Larry Kendall, is that the author? Do you know? Anyway, it's called The Go-Giver, and then there's some that have went on after that. But it's not about real estate, but it's a way to look at your life and the value that you can give people, which then in turn comes back, and you know you're going to get it back tenfold. But it's not a salesy book. You know, it's a good read. It's an easy read. It will change your life. It did mine. Yep.
So business book, I'm a KW agent. I'm going to tell you the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Teach you how to build a business. I mean, it's just, I'm leading a book club right now on that book. But a book that I would recommend to anybody, real estate or otherwise, is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I think that is absolutely 1,000% key. If you know where you want to go, it's a lot easier to get there.
What's it called? I'm sorry.
Start With Why, Simon Sinek. You know, it's about finding your big why. You know, what's your purpose? What's your goal? What do you want to have for your life? And helping you look at the infinite possibilities that are out there and planning for them, because they're there. And the way that you think sales works is, you'll find if you read that book, my new buyer's agent, Lauren, say hi, Lauren, just sent me like an old Simon Sinek TED Talk, which was amazing. When they talk about the way the human brain works, starting from the center, if you start with why and work your way out to the what and the how, the whole process takes on a much different spin. If you got, he was talking about like Apple and Dell and how their approaches to marketing to people. You know, Apple started with the why and worked out to the how and the what. And Dell started here, and it's just like, you know, when you think MP3 player, when you think computer, when you think phone, you know, iPhone, you know, everything that Apple did was with a vision, you know, going out. And Steve Jobs knew from the get-go how to sell his vision. Dell makes good products. Is it exciting? Do you want to be part of it? Do you want to join Dell? Would you rather join Dell or Apple? And they're selling their vision. Because Steve Jobs knew his why, he knew his vision, he knew where he wanted to take his company, he knew what he wanted his company to be and what it would represent to the consumer. And that book is very eye-opening in helping you develop that kind of mindset as well. So I think a lot of people think very linear, you know, in terms of growth in business, but that book is like, well, that was a bit of a mind fuck. But it's a great book.
I already mentioned the one that I couldn't remember the name to, which was Chop Wood, Carry Water, and I'm still not only just going to give one additional. I have 3 that I read and reread. One of them is, I believe it's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's a phenomenal book. The language is colorful, but the principles are amazing. I actually carry that one with me because honestly, it's in my bag every single day. That's not real estate. None of these are actually real estate related, but I have a really big problem drawing boundaries. I let people into my life when they shouldn't be. And that's not the public aspect. I'm talking like 2 hours post-op, inviting someone over to write an offer when I'm on pain pills. Like, you know, get the fuck out of my house. Like, I should be able to just have my time. I have problems drawing those boundaries, and that's been absolutely instrumental in like unfucking myself in terms of some of the stuff that I do. I believe it's called The Solomon Secret from a financial perspective. Oh my God, just honest to God, like, it's funny because I meet new agents and they're like, I want to do 100 transactions a year, and I'm like, do you really? Like, do you want to look at my calendar? Because I literally have 5 minutes to pee because it won't happen if I don't do that, right? And the reality is, I think you've kind of heard all of us say, like, our goals are, I mean, yes, we're still going to continue to produce, but they're family and time and leisure driven now, because honestly, that's something that when I was growing a business, I was like, I don't need my time. And now I'm like, where did it all go, right? So, and those boundaries help for that balance. So that was like instrumental for that. The Solomon Secret was instrumental for financial, and then the 5 Love Languages, which is a relationship book, but like, damn, like you will start to just identify in your clients how they need you to respond. Because I'm telling you, if your client is somebody who doesn't read text messages and you only text message them, they're not your client. They're the person's client that like wants that will call them, right? And honestly, it's great for just every other relationship as well. So.
I don't feel like I have as a profound of an answer as these ladies. I've read some of those. I do think the languages, you have to understand who you're speaking to and how they speak. That's important even in relationships. And in marriages, relationships, family, right? You can't speak to somebody that if you speak to it in your language, it doesn't resonate with them in the same way. And the Go-Giver was one too. I recently, because I'm so busy, I absolutely love to read. And I'm so busy right now, I downloaded Audible, so I have been picking different books and listening to it. I will listen to a lot of, Jim laughs, in the bathroom in the morning. I'm pretty much listening to something, sometimes it's real estate related, sometimes just positive mindset. The biggest thing that I've seen, the rooms that I've gotten myself into at where I'm at now, the level I'm at, what's been fascinating to me is they all kind of think the same way and they think anything's possible. And the fact that anything is possible, I'm like, well, yeah, if they can do it, why can't I? And I see the same thing. Well, if we can do this, so can you, right? The three biggest things I would say is you need a plan. You have to take action. A lot of people don't take the action. They plan to take action, but they don't actually do it. So have a plan, take action, and then be consistent. Those are the three things that I would say. So I read a lot of different things that are going to resonate with me, that keep me positive, and try to be in an environment that keeps me positive, because I still have those bad days. You've seen me at the office, I had crazy client. I mean, this lady, I'm like, I'm not going to help her buy. Yeah. She is not worth it at all. Not worth it. And so I'm like, I'm not giving her to anybody on the team, because I'm going to save you the headache. She is not worth it. Totally bat crazy. So, but just the positive mindset. And so I think life development is probably more important than just real estate. I mean, you want to be an expert of your profession, but the life, and highly successful people are taking care of all of their mind, their body, their spirit, their health. So you've got to incorporate into that. I've really incorporated into workouts and health and making sure I talk to my family and my mental and having my hobbies, because you've got to take care of the whole self.
I think it's important. We were talking about this the other day at breakfast or lunch. I mean, one of the book that was very profound is like The Miracle Morning. It's just setting yourself up for success every day. You know, you're starting with your workout, you're starting with your morning affirmations, you're reading whatever book you're reading. As long as you're reading every day and filling this and this and this, filling your cup, and then so you can pour that cup into somebody else's cup. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about, for us, we're all growing a business, but I think a lot of us are at the point now where the real thrill is coming from growing with other people and watching other people grow. So for me, it's like, I love working with my friends, my family, and my sphere, but I want to watch my agents become the total rock stars I know that they are. For me, that is nirvana. That's my next nirvana. So, but as far as books go, just read one every day. Get up in the morning and read something every day. Not the whole book, 15 minutes. I do 15 to 20 minutes every day before I work out. Getting back into the working out. That's a little tougher slog. Yeah. Well, you know what though, if I don't do it first thing in the morning, if you don't have that morning routine set, I mean, I had a lot of health issues last year. I gained a lot of weight, full disclosure. So trying to trim back down and build those habits back up, those good, healthy for your mind, healthy for your body habits has been a struggle. So it just kind of getting back and rereading that book was instrumental. And, oh yeah, shit girl, you got this. You know, just do this, this, and this, and build those habits, you know, so.
So I was going to ask everybody for one piece of advice, but it sounds like you just kind of did that. And so we're coming to an end here. We want to, and I know Kim had a few things to say. I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I mean, it was an awesome use of my time. I feel like I want to thank the panel. I know Kim wants to say a few things.
Well, you know, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody for coming. We're doing our Knowledge is Power series. It's the third Thursday every month. We have different speakers. I was super excited. It hit me, and I love that all these ladies, it wasn't super crazy notice, and they all said yes. I'm like, yes! I literally did a dance. So I want to thank them for coming, first and foremost. I thank you for coming. It's always our goal to bring value. So I hope that when you came, when you leave, you're taking away something of value, something that you can implement. And so I appreciate you coming. We do have our next event coming up, again, the third Thursday. It is May 19th. And in that, it's going to be, I've taught the class on how to make a competitive offer. I've done it on a national level. I've done it locally. I've taught the #1 team in the state. And I want to share, because of the market we're in, dive into some of the things that we talked about on how you separate out an offer, get down into the nitty-gritty, and actually share some specifics. And I think you can take away from that, you're at different times in your career, whether you're new or you're experienced. Even though I've been doing as long as I have, me and Bashar were in the office and we're comparing notes. You know, we were talking right here. What are you doing, right?
What you did.
Yes. So it's fun to hear what other people are doing and how creative. So that's what we're going to do for next month. So anybody that's here, you know, if you're registered, we'll send you an email. Feel free to register. We're just trying to share value and help those in the community. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to keep my secret and I'm not going to share everybody. I think that if we can elevate the level of our profession, I think we all win.
Absolutely.
Right?
1000%.
Yes. So we want to share that knowledge. So we hope that you can make it. We appreciate you coming. We did get something for each of the ladies, so we appreciate.
It's a box with my name on it.
It is. Isn't that so pretty? Isn't that so pretty? So we just appreciate you taking the time. They're all busy ladies, and they came to share their knowledge, and so
Deals, so.
they're writing deals. So
Yes.
so
That's
we appreciate you. So thank everybody for coming, and we appreciate you.